and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel, where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to Shades of Romance and the second installment to the Valentine's Day series 2025. Okay, now in our last video, episode 1, we kind of talked about some of the tools that you're going to need. Now, because I'm having to cook for a family, I had to kind of swap out for a slightly different pot. But again, something like this you can get on the cheap in a secondhand store. Okay, it's really easy to get, but that's going to be the only deviation between the first video and this one. But still, yet secondhand store, Goodwill, that sort of thing. Okay. You can still get these. Actually, I actually got that this along with some pots that I no longer have at an auction years ago, because this is kind of an older style you don't see anymore. But if you play your cards right, you can get something like that. All right. Of course, I've got a cheap colander, and of course our forks and our bowls that I showed in the last episode. So that really, from here, we obviously need some food that will be cooked in this, and all that good stuff. We're going to need to get to cooking. So that's exactly what we're going to do in this particular episode. Now, the dish that I'm going to make, you can use. It's pretty versatile. You can use. It's a pasta dish, but you can use several different types of pasta. I mean, the sky's the limit, really. And let me explain. Penne Regatta is my preferred one for this particular dish. But you can use muscatoli noodles. You can use the old, elbow macaroni like this right here. And you could even use rotini noodles. Really, again, it's completely and totally up to you. You could even use the ratatouilles. The only things that I wouldn't use is like fettuccine, or I wouldn't use, like angel hair pasta or spaghetti. I wouldn't use anything, long and slender like that. I would just use these more shaped ones like tube or elbow, something to that effect. Okay? So that's what I would definitely suggest for this particular, dish. From here, you're going to need 2 cans of cream of soups, okay? Now, I usually kind of say don't use canned soups, but let me rephrase that. I don't use canned soups the way that they're meant to be used, okay? I will use them, well, in this particular dish. You're going to need, if you're doing, 1 box, I would recommend 1 can to that box. But if you're doing, 2 boxes, like here, 2 cans. Really simple, okay? And, of course, we'll need some milk, but we'll get to all of that later. In the meantime, along with what you see right here, as far as, the main course, salt, pepper. That's really it. And it's a real simple dish. And of course, we've made pasta numerous times here on this channel. So, again, I don't think I really need to go into, super big detail. But for those of you who are fairly new to the channel, because we do have a few of you, let's kind of review. All right? First things first, I know some, high-end chefs will say, oh, if you have this much if you have, this much pasta, that you have to have a pot this big, and okay. You need a big pot, okay? And, I mean, really quick, for a single serving, for a single box of pasta like this, something this size, like I showed you in the previous episode, will do just fine, okay? But if you're making for an entire family, you're going to need something a little bit bigger, as you can tell, okay? if you're doing spaghetti or fettuccine alfredo, you need something this big, okay? For fettuccine noodles and for angel hair or for spaghetti or anything long, style pasta, you need an 8-quart stock pot just like this, okay? So any of those professional chefs that swear you have to do it their way, obviously they can say that because they don't have to live on a budget. So I say to you, get a good pot, and this is one that I've made pasta in numerous times. The only thing, because it's an older one, the only thing that you got to be careful of is the fact that, well, it has a tendency sometimes to stick to the bottom. So if you've got one of these old enamel style, just make sure that you stir often because it has a tendency, the pasta to stick. Okay? So that's pretty much the gear, okay? It's really simple. The same stuff I showed you guys in that first video, it's that easy, okay? So from here, we're going to fill our pot up with water. Now, again, you're going to hear the traditionalists kind of go hardcore on you. Again, they'll say that you got to have the big pot. Again, I'd say use what you got available. Now you're going to fill this bad boy almost all the way to the top, okay? And, you want to leave about that much room from the top. Now why? Make sure that you leave at least that much room. Well, that's easy. Because as the temperature, rises in the water, water's going to expand. Also, leave yourself a little leeway. You're going to have to watch this thing because even as it boils, when you add the pasta in, loose starch is going to flake off and kind of mix in the water, boilovers, okay? So watch it close. Because, granted, boilovers aren't a super big deal, on these, on stoves. But it is a little messy, and, it kind of sucks when it happens, It's a little messy, okay? You don't want to have to clean up a mess, all right? Now, also, there are some people out there that say, put a little olive oil on, a little bit of olive oil, it'll help with boilovers and all that. No, it doesn't. It doesn't help with that at all. It doesn't do anything for it. It's actually just a waste of oil. So I would definitely not do that. All right? Also, this is the time to get salt into the pasta. Now, I know some of you salt phobes out there will argue, oh, you shouldn't do that kosher salt, okay? This is what I use, kosher salt. I don't use regular table salt, which we've talked about why in other videos, but kosher salt is my preferred mineral of choice because it doesn't have, like iodine in it. And we found that iodine just reacts poorly with me. So kosher salt, some sort of mineral salt like pink Himalayan or sea salt would be just fine for this dish. Remember, this is for your other half, all right? So once this gets to a boil, we're going to add in our pasta, and we're going to cook that till it's done, all right? So I'll see all of you in just a bit. Alrighty, folks, if you haven't figured it out by now, we got a nice, pretty much a good boil going on. And now is the time to dump our pasta in. But don't wander too far, okay? Because as I mentioned, boilovers are a thing. And cooking pasta too long tastes disgusting. So, this is definitely the time to stay close at hand, because if you don't, you ruin the dish. And again, this is for Valentine's Day. This is for your sweetheart. Make sure that you watch it closely, because nothing worse than having your Valentine's Day dinner ruined. So, once you get your pasta in, give it a good stir. And again, watch these type of pots as I mentioned earlier, because pasta has sometimes a tendency to stick to the bottom. It does happen. If you find one of these old enamel ones, they work great for pasta, but just kind of be careful. So you're going to stir that around, get that good and stirred up. and just watch it close. Now, how do you know when pasta is done? We've heard this a million times. We've talked about this on the channel before, and it's actually ridiculously easy. Give it a taste. If it's, and most of us know what good pasta, should taste like. It's consistency. So when you bite into it, does it have that perfect taste? Is there just enough, is it soft enough that, when you go to bite into it, that, is it soft enough it doesn't, crunch? And is there still, just enough there for your teeth to get a hold of? That's what, that's what they would often call al dente. I call it done. So, we know that by tasting it, and we'll get to that here in just a little bit. Alrighty, folks. I think it's been long enough, but the only way to actually check is you got to give it a taste. Okay? So fish one out. Be very careful. We don't want to cook it any longer than that. Again, with basically our dollar store colander, because I believe we got this at a Dollar Tree. I don't remember, but it's been a long time ago. We're going to go ahead and kill the heat for the moment, and we're going to take our pasta and we're going to drain it right this second. Be very careful because this is ridiculously hot. Okay, you might have to take a spoon, and again, break everything loose. And pour it right into the colander. Normally do that away from you because, if it decides to throw some steam back at you, it'll hurt. All right, so we're going to set that right there for the moment. Set our spoon aside, and we're going to hit our pasta with cold water. Cold water. Okay? Now, why would I do that? Why would I do that? Okay. Because of a thing we call carryover heat. Now, our pasta, being, that it's hot, and even though we've taken it off the heat, the temperature's still going to rise, anywhere from another 5 to 10 degrees. Well, that means it's still cooking. So hitting it with cold water stops it cold. So this is why sometimes you'll even hear in some of the other old recipes to use an ice bath to stop the cooking process. Alrighty? So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a can of cream of chicken. And since this is for an entire family, we're going to set that can right there for the moment. We'll need it again here in a second, and it'll make sense in a moment. And we're going to add a can of cream of mushroom. Now, again, if you're just making a small batch, you only need one can. And you could use cream of, you could use your choice of cream of celery, cream of mushroom, cream of chicken, whatever, or you can combine the two however you want. So from here, we're going to come over to the fridge, and I'm going to get a little bit of milk. Say hello to your measuring cup for this. Now, for the 2 cans, and I want this to be a sauce of some sort, I'm going to make it about half of, for a regular full can, just a single can, I would say a quarter, but make it however you want, all right? Completely and totally up to you. You can make it any which way you like, all right? So you're going to stir that around. You're going to put that kind of over a low heat. Just get the consistency that you want. And using the same spoon that we did for our pasta and the same exact pan, we're going to stir that around and basically make a sauce. Again, you don't need anything special, fancy, whatever. But we want this from here to kind of warm up and to kind of turn into a thick sauce. If you want a thinner sauce, again, you can add more milk. If you want thicker than that, add a little less. All right? Now, I would say is definitely the time to add some black pepper. Now, fresh ground, of course, is what I suggest. That's the best way to do it. And if you wanted, you could even add in some garlic at this point, but that's not necessary in this particular case. It still makes a fine dish any which way you slice it. Just like that, we have a nice, amazing sauce. It was made from, cream of, some cream of soups, okay? Single can of cream of chicken and cream of mushroom, okay? And again, we could use cream of celery or any other type like that, and it works just fine. It's all pretty much the same anyways. So, from here, we're going to take our pasta, and we're going to add it in. Be very careful. We're going to add it all right back into the pot, all right? And stir it around. Get everything coated up real nice. Once you get everything coated up real nice, it's time to kill the heat and whip up your bowls of it. All right. And since again I'm doing for a family, well, you'll see what I mean by how awesome is awesome. So we're going to again, with only a handful of tools. There we go. Now from here, all you really need is say something like a little bit of candlelight and you and your sweetheart's favorite beverage, say like an iced coffee, glass of red, red wine, whatever it is that you guys are into, and plop down in front of your favorite romance movie. Sounds like it's dinner night. Sounds like a nice date night for two, say on Valentine's Day. Alright, that brings us to a good stopping point for this particular video. If you enjoyed this, which I hope that you did, and hopefully it gave you some ideas for this particular Valentine's Day, do me a favor, hit that like button and hit the subscription button if you haven't done so already. Turn that bell notification on. Along with that, if you'd like to support the channel, get on over to Patreon. $1 a month grants you access to Cinnamon's Discord. And of course, the proceeds from Patreon go right back into the project cars. Along with that, if you also want to support the channel by purchasing some merchandise, get over to Teespring. We have a Teespring store and merchandise of all sizes and shapes, from anyone from your little ones all the way up to adults that have a very active life. But from that point, I get to say to all of you, get out there and work on a project. Don't care what it is, just do something with yourselves. Remember, idle hands and a creative mind go together like oil and water. If you have a sweetheart, sweep them off their feet and do something special for them today. And as always, for every last one of you out there, if no one out there has told you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you, and have a happy 24th. Thank you.
Wrong me, my brains are...